We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Main Street TV. I'm back. Jeremiah Schaefer filled in for me yesterday with Pete Wilson in the news update. I appreciate that. Jennifer's still not back, so we still got to wait tomorrow.
You know what that means?
Or no, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
You know, you're going to have to start not doing as well at this because they're just going to make you take over, and she's going to think she can just leave.
Don't want that.
I wouldn't want it either. Not gonna lie.
Well, so we are back with a familiar face and a familiar voice. Josh, Big Papa Willett.
I love it when you call me Big Papa, James.
I was telling Porterhouse the other day, we got to get that sound effect on the soundboard. I should have had Dylan do it today. I messed up, but we got to get the little sound bite from the Biggie song.
Yes.
Just hit that every time you come in.
You know, that is still such a funny... I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I know that we were in the top 500 countdown. That song came up, and I remember saying something about, I love it when you call me Big Papa, and it just became a joke from there.
Yeah.
But it's been funny.
Are your daughters aware that grown men are calling you Big Papa?
I think they are. And of course, Courtney bought me at Christmas time. Courtney got me a Big Papa shirt.
Yeah,
I love that. It's been fun.
That's classic. So thank you for joining us this morning. For those of you that don't know Josh, Josh manages the area movie theaters, Tri-City in Jackson, Silver Screen 7 in Gallipolis, and the Danbury Cinemas in Chillicothe.
So we can talk a little bit of movies today, but I think James has brought me in for the most part to just sit around and we'll talk about whatever comes about. And, if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to send messages in. We love watching it come across the screen. So if there's something you want to know about, something you want us to chime in on, I'm more than happy to give my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one and they all stink.
Speaking of buttholes,
all right.
I got another story for later on.
All right.
But last time... Great. This is going to be a great.
Speaking of buttholes.
Speaking of great transition here. When you were in last week, we started the day with a big sports story.
Yes.
And we have another big sports story today. It has nothing to do with buttholes. I apologize in advance.
Well,
I don't think I need to worry about them asking me to do this every day after this.
I have a feeling that today is my last day on Main Street TV. Thank you all for watching. Hi, Mom.
Man, we made it 4 minutes.
Oh, good.
Anyway, so last night, the Wellston Lady Rockets celebrated a 50-26 win over Benton County. And the reason that this is significant is this is the first time the Wellston girl. Oh my God! I'm sorry, guys.
Are we allowed to cut and start over again? I'm just kidding. Yeah. So the Lady Rockets beat Vinton County and it was the first time they beat them since
the new Vinton County gym opened.
Wow. I know that.
Geez, we were just killing it today.
It's okay.
So that opened in 2001. Wow. How old were you in 2001, Dylan?
Oh shoot, I'm like -3.
So in your lifetime, that's the first time that's happened. Yeah. Amazing.
Yep.
And both of those schools have had some really good basketball programs. Well, all of our schools
Well,
have had some
Vinton
really good
County, I mean, it's
basketball
hard to believe.
programs.
Both of these schools have had a difficult season so far.
Sure.
And it's hard to imagine that just a couple years removed from Vinton County's state tournament run. But I mean, that's just the nature of high school sports. You just have a couple classes that are just
Right.
everything comes together for them, and then it's a few more years before that happens. And of course, they change head coaches too during that time period.
Yeah, and those of us who've been involved in coaching, which I have been, activities, you really do have those years where you have just incredible groups of kids, and then other times just massively talented groups.
Mhm.
Then other times you'll have groups that maybe the talent isn't there, but the work ethic is
Mhm.
insane.
Sure.
And those were always the ones that I enjoyed coaching,
Yeah.
if you will, the most. I always had the most success with it. Sometimes it was just really, really talented kids.
Mhm.
Other times it was just really great kids. So
Yeah. Well, speaking of some of those talented kids, the Telegram's Brock Netter, after the game last night, he caught up with Gracie Simpson, Allison Kilgore, and Maddie Potts to talk about that big victory. So, Dylan, you have that for us?
What we knew at the beginning, we had to come out quick, get a lead. So we did that. We built some confidence. We knew we had to stay on, keep on the gas, and we knew we were going to go away from win.
Yeah, we really had to keep the intensity up, and I feel like that's something that we really focused on in practice, like keeping it up, keeping hype. And then we also didn't let the snowball, like we didn't wait for it to snowball and everything go negative. We just kept playing right through it.
I feel like we had to keep up both ends of the court, defense and offense. A lot of practicing time on both ends of the court, so we went into this game believing we really could win. We had more confidence this game. We knew we could do it.
I felt like our first game we were a little nervous to play them because we really haven't won in a while now. So it really just hit us and we were like, oh crap, like it's a different team this year, so we didn't really know what to expect. So the second time we really knew what to do and how to handle everything.
I'll bounce off Allison. We just really knew that they was a different team, but we was also a very different team this year. So I knew coming out they were going to be pressuring me and Kimmy a lot. So we knew we had to attack, get to the line, keep pressuring. So we kept going at them. We need to get in their heads, and that's when the whole team came together. I would definitely have to say coming out fast on a fast start and staying up with everybody else. Keeping up on both ends of the court, staying hyped through the team, not only on the court but on the bench too.
I feel like, to bounce off of that, I feel like that we really need to work on not fouling because I know that me and Bugs personally have a problem with fouling, so we really need to learn to keep our hands back, which we've done better at, but we just got to finish it strong for the end of the season.
And so that was last night. So again, congratulations to those girls. The Wellston Golden Rockets defeated the Vinton County Lady Vikings 50-26 for their first win ever at the new Vinton County High School. Wow. Now, that was last night. This morning, they're probably not going to be having a game tonight because we got.
I don't know. They probably still depends on whether the snow melts.
Yeah. Well, so so this is from Pete Wilson, a little bit of a weather advisor. We did have some weather last night, and there are a few school closures. Most of them initially declared 2-hour delays, but the school closures include Jackson City, Wellston City, Oak Hill Union Local, Vinton County Local, Buckeye Hills Career Center and its Adult Education Center, Hope Haven, Christian Life Academy, St. Peter's and Paul, also the University of Rio Grande, Rio Grande Community College were on a 2-hour delay for the main campus and all other centers, including those in Jackson and MacArthur. So most high schools closed today, Rio Grande on a 2-hour delay. Josh, would you like to tell us how you feel about 2-hour delays?
I have an opinion. I really do. I've always felt this way, and I think part of it comes from when I first started teaching in 1999, which really wasn't that long ago. I had to drive 30 minutes to work. And no matter what, I always went to work, even if we were going to have a snow day, unless they announced it the day before that it was going to be a snow day and you didn't have to report to work. No matter what, I always went. So I always was of the opinion, and it was what was ingrained in me, was a 2-hour delay is to give you 2 extra hours to figure out how to get there. Not is for you to have 2 hours to sit around and wait for them to cancel. So I've always been of that opinion that here you go, it's a 2-hour delay. And if you had 2 extra hours to think about how you were going to get to school, then, again, you've got 2 extra hours to figure that out. It's easy to get there safe. The roads right now, I mean, they're not bad. But if you had 2 extra hours to take your time to get where you need to go, to thaw your car in the morning. So to me, 2-hour delays or even a 1-hour delay, those are really great. Now, I love snow days, and everybody loves snow days. But when it comes to snow days, I think that I never really considered how difficult that can be for families that have young children. Both people have jobs. What are you doing with your kids that day? So, there are people that have been rushing around since 5:30 this morning, 6 o'clock this morning when they got the phone call. I got my Phil Howard wake up call this morning. So,
I have to admit, I'm a little surprised I don't see anybody's kids with them in the office this morning.
Well, right. So, and again, depending on where you live, where you work, most employers, that's another one of those things where COVID made, not that I want to talk COVID, but it really did make a change in our society, because suddenly it became, we no longer question when somebody says they're sick. Because that became a part of kind of COVID protocol, where if an employee tells you they're sick, they don't go to work. And so there became a major change in our society when it came to that kind of stuff. I don't know about you, but I have worked sick a lot. I used to get pneumonia every year because I would work while being sick, and I just refused to take the time to figure out how to get healthy, because I always felt like I had a deadline I had to meet, had another deadline I had to meet. So you would work through it, and then eventually you would go, okay, I've got a day or two, I've got a long weekend, let me sit down and figure out how to get myself out of this. So I guess that back to the 2-hour delay thing, I've just always been of the opinion that a 2-hour delay is to allow you to figure out how you're going to get there. Yeah. Versus waiting for someone to cancel. Now, I do know that it gets worse. And today, the snow that was on the ground at 5 o'clock this morning versus what was on the ground at 7 o'clock this morning, it was a little different. But I always have had this opinion in my brain that is.
Well, my dad would say that the 2-hour delay is just 2 hours to shovel the driveway.
Right. But no, he's absolutely correct. It's 2 hours to figure out how to get your car out of the driveway. It's 2 hours to figure out whether you are going to have to deal with your kids getting to school a different way. Sure. That's where that is a positive. But if it's 2-hour delay and then eventually you end up canceling, you've actually made 2 different sets of plans. Just use the 2-hour delay, and you've got that in place and plan to get where you need to go. That's, again, these are the opinions and ramblings of Josh Willett.
This has been Opinions with Josh.
I don't know. I don't see anybody else commenting on there. So either they're not paying attention or they don't have an opinion either way. But
we're just pretend that they are paying attention and just agree with you.
Yes, I don't know. I've always had that opinion when it came to 2-hour delays in schools. But it was because when I first started teaching, if there was a 2-hour delay, I still went to the school at my normal time. And I took my time getting there and drove 30 minutes to go. And so I've always functioned that way. I've never been the guy who sleeps in an extra 2 hours. I take the time to figure out how I'm going to get where I'm going to go.
I'd sleep in. If we're going to be honest,
you're going to sleep
I'm taking those extra Z's, man.
No. I mean, I don't have a problem with taking an hour of the 2.
Yeah.
But no, you use that time to figure out how you're going to get where you're going to go.
Yeah. But hey, speaking of the bad weather, you've got a note there that's something else that's going on today that kind of ties in with that a little bit.
An event aimed at addressing homelessness set for January 31st at Jackson's Christ United Methodist Church. Anyone experiencing homelessness in Jackson County, those sleeping in a car, truck, or van, living in a tent, or staying in an abandoned building are encouraged to attend an event at the Jackson Christ Church of Jackson geared towards addressing this issue. The event will be held at 150 Portsmouth Street, Jackson on Tuesday, January 31st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In addition to a hot meal served courtesy of the Jackson Homelessness Committee, there will be hygiene supplies, cold weather supplies, HIV testing. Sorry, my bifocal's not working today. Hepatitis C testing and treatment, naloxone, referrals for homeless assistance, mental health services. I think you get the idea. So lots of services. Again, that is going to be on the 31st, which is today, from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Yeah. So, if it's probably a lot more, that probably affects a lot more people than we'd like to, realize or that we do realize or would like to think that it does. And, a cold day like today is kind of when that is,
absolutely,
kind of most important to have resources like that. So
I can tell you, I've seen more of that I've seen more of it in Ross County than I have in Jackson County, but I think it's mostly because of just where I tend to be.
I think we all kind of know the spots in Chillicothe where people tend to kind of camp out.
So it's good to know here in Jackson County, and I'm sure in Ross County too, that there are places out there where you can find help, find shelter. So again.
So if you or somebody might be able to take advantage of that, it is available. So Josh, the main thing I wanted to talk about today is what is upcoming at the theaters. I know I know we're just coming out of the holiday season and we're not quite into that, summer season.
James and I had the giggles immediately today.
Yeah.
So a lot of that came from a movie that's coming out on February 24th, which again, this isn't the first one in the lineup, but a movie called Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, this was not on my radar.
So Cocaine Bear, I guess, is based on a true story. And so there is an airplane that drops a bunch, this smuggling cocaine, drops cocaine out of the plane. A bear finds the cocaine, takes the cocaine, and proceeds to go on a spree of terror.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sold on this. It's got Ray Liotta in it. Is this going to be his last movie?
I don't know. I just remember the first time I
all.
saw the trailer, which again, we're a little afraid to show you guys trailers nowadays because we don't want the show to get taken off of YouTube.
Yeah, well, Facebook will boot you. YouTube will just not give you any money. But they don't give us any money anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'd love So here's the real story. So Cocaine Bear, also known as Pablo Escobar, was a 175-pound American black bear that overdosed on cocaine in 1985. The cocaine had been dropped by drug smugglers in the wilderness in Georgia. The bear was found dead and was stuffed and displayed at a mall in Kentucky.
Of course it was. Oh, James. Which part?
So it is at the Kentucky for Kentucky Fun Mall in Lexington. I've never been there.
That's one heck of a mall.
Oh, okay. Here's even better. So here's how this, or find a picture of this stuffed bear, Dylan. So here's how the bear made it to the Kentucky for Kentucky Fun Mall. So here's how it made it to the mall. Waylon Jennings bought it and donated it to the mall. So it's got a little plaque on it that says Cocaine Bear.
Oh gosh.
And it's got a Kentucky basketball hat on. So this movie.
What if Hank Williams has a stuffed dog or something too?
I'm sure.
I think just think about all these country stars and what kind of crazy animals that they could have laying around.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson.
So the bear, after the bear was found dead, a doctor did an autopsy on it or whatever, and he decided he didn't want the body to go to waste, so he had it taxidermied and gave it to the Chattanooga River National Recreation Area, and then it disappeared. and then it reemerged in a pawn shop. It was, and that's where Waylon Jennings got a hold of it. And then he eventually donated it to this mall to display.
Hey, remember the story about that bear that was all coked out? Yeah, I've got it, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that the song is this. Did Hank Williams really do it this way? This is what it's about. Because Hank Williams also had a taxidermy bear that overdosed on cocaine.
Oh my gosh.
But so I am personally sold on this.
I think it looks,
Pablo Escobar.
I think it looks like it's going to be fun. Now, again, it's a bear that is making its way around, and again, it's all coked up, and who knows?
Where can people see this film?
It will be in all 3 theaters
Okay.
actually on February 24th. So
that's hilarious.
So again, that one, there's sometimes movies are the ones that I really do look forward to. Like you and I eventually are going to talk about Clerks today, I hope. But Cocaine Bear is one that I'm definitely looking forward to. The same weekend that comes out is the movie Jesus Revolution. So now talk about going in 2 completely different directions.
Yeah.
Jesus Revolution is actually like based in the late 1960s. Basically a bunch of hippies. I don't want to say taking over a church, but in some way at least influencing the church.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I know that one of our listeners, watchers is Barbara Summers.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara she's never really talked to me before about the time that she spent when she was younger in the Haight-Ashbury.
Mm-hmm. I've been there. Not in the 60s or the 70s, but I've been there.
Well, I know that she did spend time there. I would love to see if I can figure out how to get Barbara to go catch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she would probably really, really enjoy it. It's got Kelsey Grammer in it, and I've always been a huge Kelsey Grammer fan anyway, even though I know he's done some pretty stupid things over the years as well. But no, this movie, I know we've been showing the trailer for it for a couple of months, and actually at Danbury, we know for sure that Jesus Revolution will be playing at Danbury, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be at Silver Screen. Most likely not at Tri-City because we'll be too busy playing Cocaine Bear. If you got to choose between Coke and Jesus, unfortunately, Coke wins in this particular situation. I know that sounds terrible, but we go with, it's going to be the wider released film. Again, just being real honest about it. But I think the movie looks really awesome, and we are going to have there are a few limited theaters that are going to have an early premiere.
Okay.
So Danbury is one of those theaters. So we'll be showing that on Wednesday. Tickets are the Wednesday, that is the 22nd. I'm going to see if I can actually find it on my own. I'm saying it. I want to make sure I can find it on my own site. But I do believe, yes.
Yeah, so
Wednesday the 22nd.
So this movie is about Greg Laurie, who is the pastor that this story is about. And this is actually based on the book that he wrote.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is kind of his story in his words, I think.
So this says it takes place in the 70s, more so than the 60s. But again, we get that same idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to this one as well.
Yeah. You mentioned Haight-Ashbury. There's a pretty cool Grateful Dead documentary. I think it's on Netflix. And it has some like old news footage of like Haight-Ashbury from the 60s. And it's so interesting because it so many news stations did like stories on like all the hippies in San Francisco that it like became like a tourist destination like in its time or whatever, and then all the hippies left because it became a tourism.
And again, I hope Barbara's okay with me talking about that, just because she and I have talked about it briefly. But that's actually where she lived. I think she told me, I want to say it was 2 blocks, but it might have been 6 blocks from the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
So
everybody knew where they lived because it was like making national news at the time. It was really bizarre.
And so that was, very interesting. I think about this movie and, again, watching the trailer where, imagine you've got a guy who's a pastor who has his congregation is probably dwindling away, much like, many congregations are right now. We can see that happening within what's happening with the Catholic Church, even in Wellston and Jackson, and with the school. There's dwindling numbers happening in those congregations, and so pastors are always trying to figure out what they can do to increase their attendance. So when you end up with a bunch of hippies walking in the door, I'm sure that at the time that this was happening, he was probably under a lot of scrutiny for even bringing them there. But pretty neat. I'm looking forward to that one as well. So Jesus Revolution, again, we will have that at Danbury. It's we've got the performance that's happening on February 24th. Actually, yeah, February 22nd is that early show date, and the whole movie opens on the 24th. So,
all right,
real excited about that one too. Now we can get into the ones that are actually happening closer to now or right now. We have actually a couple new movies that are opening this weekend. So when I start talking about movies, this is something that I think is hard for all of us to kind of wrap our heads around. When you see the release date for a movie, the release date is usually on a Friday, unless it is a holiday movie, and it may release on, say, Wednesday. I always talk about the release date of movies as being Thursday. So people have asked me about, hey, why do you guys not do midnight movies anymore? Where they would have a midnight movie that would be for whatever the big blockbuster was. So let's say that we're doing, Ant-Man and Wasp is coming out, and you're doing a Thursday midnight show. Well,
because this is a Thursday afternoon show. You don't need a midnight show.
So what happened is, over time, it went from being that a movie was allowed to be played starting, on Friday. It could be played. So Friday is 12:01 a.m. That's Friday. Well, the studios figured this out, that's what was occurring. So they started releasing them a day early so that theaters could do them. So say it's starting at 9:00. So they would do a 9:00 showtime. People would come and watch the 9:00 showtime. It worked out better for everybody. Well, then 9:00 became 7:00. So the movie starts on Friday, but it's actually going to open on Thursday at 7 p.m. Well, then the next movie comes along. You can start playing it as early as 5:00. So the midnight showing went away. And instead it became the Thursday opening. Some movies will have you can show it anytime on Thursday. Some movies you can show it after 3:00, after 5:00, after 7:00. So the time does vary. For us here in Jackson, it almost doesn't matter, because as long as it's giving you at least 7:00, we'll open it on Thursday, because we only have really, I would call the 7:00 round. So you'll find out that a movie, let's say Knock at the Cabin, is coming. And if it is a 7:00 release, then I'll have it somewhere between 7 and 7:30. But so when you hear me talk about these Friday releases, we're actually starting them on Thursday. That's a long way around that topic. So when I say it opens on Thursday the 2nd, it actually opens nationwide on the 3rd. We just show it a day early.
Yeah.
So, all right, that helps you.
So you mentioned Knock on the Cabin. You got that poster, Dylan, and I have to apologize. So Dylan brought this poster up earlier, and he goes, "That's a big guy." I said, "Well, I think that's The Rock."
No,
I must apologize. I got the wrong wrestler. It's Batista. It's not The Rock, but it is still a big guy.
So, Knock at the Cabin. Let me see let me give you what they say about the movie. You probably have that.
It's a psychological horror film directed by M. Night Shyamalan, who a lot of people know from The Sixth Sense. Dylan knows from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So everybody knows his style. There's always got to be some kind of twist at the end. This is based on the 2018 novel The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul G. Tremblay, and it is the first movie based on one of his novels.
You do so much better job at that.
The film stars Dave Bautista, Jonathan Gorf, Ben Aldridge, Nikki. Did I say his name wrong?
No, that's just a weird last name, Gorf.
Groff.
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 Jonathan Groff.
Jonathan Groff. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you get for saying I was doing a
Jonathan
good job.
Groff, is that the one that's well, he's in Frozen.
I'm not sure. I can Google it.
Jonathan Groff.
Let's see. Jonathan Groff. He is a Broadway actor.
Right.
He was in the original production of Spring Awakening. He was nominated for a Tony Award.
He's in Hamilton.
He's in Hamilton.
Yeah, he played King George III in the original production Hamilton. And he was also nominated for a Tony Award for that. And he won a Grammy Award for the Hamilton cast album.
So I think that means he's Olaf.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. He's Olaf, if I remember correctly. I don't know. Anyway, Knock at the Cabin.
He's Kristoff.
He's Kristoff. There you go. Olaf is the
Josh Gad.
Yeah. Knock at the Cabin, I believe that the concept is that there's a family that's on vacation. These people come knock at the cabin and say, one of you has to sacrifice one of you in order to save humanity.
Yeah.
That's the concept,
Yeah.
at least when you watch the trailer. So,
Yep.
save the world by killing one of
A
your
family of 3 is suddenly held hostage by 4 strangers who demand they sacrifice one of their own to avert the apocalypse. Sounds like a M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Absolutely.
But yeah,
Sounds
I mean,
like the worst
if you're a
vacation
fan
ever.
of M. Night Shyamalan, that's the one to see for sure.
And then the next one that's coming out this weekend, there's actually 2 more, 80 for Brady. And so if you've not seen this, again, based on a true story about, this group of ladies who decide to go to the Super Bowl to go watch Brady play football.
Yeah,
So-
this is for your mom. Your grandma. I feel like my mom would definitely enjoy this movie.
I'll tell you,
This movie is not for me.
I think this movie is going to be fantastic.
I'm sure it's very cute.
So we were talking about this on the radio the other day because Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda,
Rita Moreno, and Sally Field.
So, but Lily and Jane, they were in? Were they both in 9 to 5? I think.
Yeah, maybe.
And
sounds right.
I believe that actually we looked this up. Dolly Parton has a song that she wrote for this movie, along with I don't remember who else is a part of it, but there's a new song that's released, so it's kind of a bringing back of that.
Yeah, so the soundtrack single "Gonna Be You" was released January 20th. The song was written by Diane Warren and performed by Dolly Parton, Belinda Carlisle, Cyndi Lauper, Gloria Estefan, and Debbie Harry from Blondie.
Yes. So that one, I don't know that I've heard the song yet, but that one looks like it's going to be fun. I know we've had a lot of people asking about that particular movie. Originally, we weren't so sure we were going to have it at Tri-City, but we went ahead and made some changes in the schedule. Unfortunately, that's why Avatar is leaving as quickly as it is.
Oh, man.
But
So
again, we were able to bring that in.
I do think we are kind of burying the lead on the 80 for Brady movie, though. Guy Fieri is in this one.
Oh, I did hear he was in this one.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives own Guy Fieri is in this.
I love watching his show. I'm not gonna lie.
I
And
love it. I've
heard that he is actually that he's a really great guy, and he donates a lot of money to charity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can go off on a Guy Fieri tangent, but say what you want about Guy Fieri, but he's putting small businesses on national television, more or less for free. I mean, I'm sure they have to do some, make some accommodations to have that crew come in, but I mean, where else are places like this going to get
Absolutely.
advertising like that? I mean, Hillbilly Hot Dog. I mean, that place has earned its reputation itself, but the fact that they can slap his face on their advertising and stuff,
Absolutely.
it's saying that's not
And every once in a while, I know if I'm going to maybe a city that I've never been to, that might be one of the first things that I do is what has been featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives,
Sure.
or at least featured on some kind of food show.
Mhm.
I remember going to Washington, D.C. and going to GCDC,
Mhm.
Grilled Cheese DC.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was on his show or where it was,
Yeah.
but just having that exposure when you're in a different place,
Yeah.
that's a fantastic way to do it.
And another thing I'll say about his show, that one thing about cooking shows that drives me crazy is they have these competition shows and they're bringing all these like celebrity chefs and restaurateurs and everything. And they'd be like, you have 10 minutes to make some weird dish you've never made before. And it comes out looking disgusting. And it's like, well, of course it looks disgusting. Like, why don't you let that person talk about the thing that
let them cook what they cook,
right?
And do their thing.
And that's what he does. He lets people make the thing that they're the best at cooking.
Makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. So that's my Guy Fieri soapbox. Rob Gronkowski also has a cameo in this film.
So I think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think a lot of folks have been recently to go see A Man Called Otto.
Yeah.
Now I
Tom
think
Hanks.
this is going to be a much different. I think 80 for Brady is going to be much different than Man Called Otto, but I think that it's probably our same crowd coming to watch that.
So Dylan, our high school intern, informed me that he thought Tom Hanks was retired. Despite the fact that just last week we talked about him and Elvis, and him in the Pinocchio movie this last year.
Oh no, he's definitely staying busy.
He is turning them out,
and he's not. I'll tell you, this is it's hard for me to still think about again someone like Tom Hanks being older, and I don't. I think about him in this one being in A Man Called Otto being a grumpy old man. I can't see it.
Yeah. Can you bring that picture up?
Yep. So
now, I don't mean to throw anyone under the bus, but Tom Hanks is looking a little bit like my dad in that picture.
Okay, so this is the same guy from Top Gun Maverick, right?
No, that's Tom Cruise.
Okay. My bad. I was so confused the other day when you guys were talking.
That's Forrest Gump. That's Forrest
You
Gump.
don't know
Does
the
that help
difference
you?
between Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise?
Now that I know they're two separate people, yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so I'm going to tell him myself now.
All right, go ahead.
I know I was a lot younger than Dylan when I had this confused, but one of the movies we're going to talk about is they're re-releasing Titanic.
Yes.
And I remember in 1997 or whenever Titanic came out, I don't know who Leonardo DiCaprio was. And I remember people talking about him. I thought they were talking about Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, gosh.
I was so confused.
Leonardo da Vinci?
Because I'd heard of Leonardo
He's a
da Vinci.
19-year-old actor? What?
Because I'd heard of Leonardo da Vinci, but I didn't have any idea who Leonardo DiCaprio was.
So I saw this meme because, living the meme is what I still say now. There was a meme that was a sexiest man alive.
Mm-hmm.
And the one cover was Tom Cruise, like from 2000, like 1985 or whatever it was. And then him in 2006 again. And then there was another one that was Gary Busey. And talk about somebody who is completely different. It's like, well, those two haven't aged well, but that would make a funny meme to make it so it's Tom Hanks then and Tom Cruise then and Tom Hanks now. That would be really fun. Dylan, you'll have to make that later on. You can make a meme that is Tom Cruise turned Tom Hanks. Yeah. That would be funny.
But anyway, A Man Called Otto is this. So this is also based on a best-selling book. It tells the story of Otto Anderson, a grumpy widower who is very set in his ways when a lovely young family moves next door. He meets his match in quick-witted and very pregnant Marshall, leading to an unlikely friendship that will turn his world upside down. Experience a funny, heartwarming story about how some families come from the most unexpected places. And it apparently has a cat in it, so I'm into that.
All right, so let's talk about two movies that are not getting a ton of exposure as far as advertising goes,
Mm-hmm.
but I think both of them look like they're going to be pretty good. One is the movie called Maybe I Do, if you want to search that one. So this one has absolutely a star-studded cast. Diane Keaton, Richard Gere, Susan Sarandon, Emma Roberts.
William Macy.
Yeah. So just an incredible cast in, I believe it's basically a rom-com.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's done by a very small studio. So it's not been getting a ton of publicity. Star-studded ensemble cast, Maybe I Do, stars Diane Keaton, Richard Gere, Susan Sarandon, Emma Roberts. Okay. In a multi-generational romantic comedy. Let's see. Robertson says Michelle and Alan have reached the point in their relationship to take the next steps towards marriage. Thinking it's a good idea to invite their parents to finally meet, they set a dinner and make it a family affair. To everyone's surprise, the affair takes on a whole new meaning as the parents already know each other all too well.
Oh, they're a divorced couple, right?
They've been cheating on their spouses for months with each other.
All right, that's a funny twist.
Okay. So I think I could talk about most of these people now because number one, they don't live around here. And number two, most of them have since passed.
Okay.
So I had some friends that this kind of happened. My actually two guys that were my best friends in like middle school and into high school. The mother was having the one friend's mom was having an affair with the other friend's mom's fiance. They weren't officially married. So they were having an affair. So both of their marriages and or coupleships break up, and those two end up together. Well, the other two, the two people who are now no longer in a relationship, start getting together mostly to talk about their kids and how screwed up this whole thing is.
I can imagine.
Well, they slowly become friends as well and end up married. And I don't want to say it was mostly out of convenience, but a lot of it to start with was a relationship out of convenience. And they were kind of my surrogate parents for a long time. But they did a kind of a wife swap, if you will. And so as far as the kids were concerned, all that happened was that their parents swapped, but they were already, they just started hanging out together even more. But that was a very interesting situation when I was a kid that, I remember being really too young and dumb to realize what was going on. But once I did figure it out, it was kind of funny. But no, again, they were all became very good friends. I was very good friends with all of them. So very interesting. Yeah. So
well, maybe
I do.
Yeah.
Again, star-studded cast. So that one looks good. And then the next one on that is so that's actually playing now. That's at Danbury. The one that's coming to both Danbury and Silver Screen is an animated movie called The Amazing Maurice. And this one I'm really looking forward to. It's based on a book by Terry Pratchett. It's actually a British animated movie. There it is. So I watched the trailer for this and it just looked super, super cute. Maurice is a streetwise ginger cat who comes up with a money-making scam by befriending a group of talking rats. When Maurice and the rodents reach the stricken town of Bad Blintz, they meet a bookworm named Melissa, and their little con soon goes down the drain. So, the reason I even brought this up is a lot of times it's very difficult to find a good movie to take kids to.
Yeah.
And right now we have Puss in Boots, and Puss in Boots is a fantastic movie. I've heard.
I loved it so much.
What's that?
I loved it so much.
So, and that's what everybody has said is people are like, Puss in Boots. I don't want to go see that. That's a little kid movie.
Yeah, this is a totally different cat movie.
Yeah, this is a totally different cat movie. But the Puss in Boots movie has been extremely popular. It was our #1 movie last week at all 3 theaters.
Yeah, I heard
Still Puss in Boots.
Yeah, I heard the Puss in Boots is way better than it has any business being.
Yes, that's kind of what I've heard too. But what it looked like was, Puss in Boots is a family movie and it's going to start dwindling in sales.
Yeah.
So we need to bring in another one. So this Amazing Maurice movie, I thought, well, this might fill a little bit of a void, again, based on a book. So when I looked at it, I thought this actually looks really, really cute. So if you've already been to see Puss in Boots and you're looking for a movie to maybe go take your kids, your grandkids, whatever, on a snow day, this could be a perfect option, especially if you've already been to see Puss in Boots.
Yeah. And so if the name Terry Pratchett sounds familiar to you, he co-wrote Good Omens with Neil Gaiman.
Okay.
So it is, if you're an adult thinking, oh, this is a kid's thing, it's probably a little bit more sophisticated writing than you might think.
I think, again, it's not been advertised a lot that this movie is coming. It could be because it's animated, but it's mostly because it's British. I think it was recognized at Sundance, if I was seeing that correctly. So it looks like it's going to be really neat. I still haven't seen it yet. I'm hoping to, but
I gotta say the names in here are quite interesting, like Boss Man and Dangerous Beans. And
The character
Peaches.
names, the character names are funny.
right.
The Pied Piper, yeah.
So that one looks like it's going to be great too. So again, if you're looking for a good movie to maybe take the kids to, I think that one looks like it's going to be fantastic. 2 more movies that I was going to talk about today. One is The Chosen. So The Chosen is, for many people you might know, The Chosen is a television series. It's a Christian-based television series that follows Jesus and the disciples. I've only seen parts of a couple of the different movies. I know last year, Christmas with The Chosen was a huge, huge deal. But this is going to be The Chosen, the season finale, season 3. So this episode 7 and 8. So we had the season opening, episodes 1 and 2. We played that at the theaters as well. The rest of it, the episodes all are available on, I think it's a specialized streaming service. I don't know where it is, but it's like a Christian network.
Okay.
All right. So all the Chosen movies, I'll put this out there for everyone to understand. It's really difficult because The Chosen is streamed as a Fathom event, is what it's called. And Fathom events many times will only be 1 day, 2 days. You're never quite sure. Sometimes they come in the middle of the week. Things like wrestling pay-per-views often end up as being Fathom events. Live concerts end up being Fathom events. So they'll originally tell us something like The Chosen, a good example, was only going to be on like Thursday and Friday. Well, then they expanded it to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, The Chosen, every time we've had it, a lot of people like to come on that Sunday after church. So if it's not even playing on Sunday, that makes it really difficult. So finally, last week, they expanded it to being Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So when they made that expansion, we went ahead and picked it up. Again, it will be at Silver Screen and at Danbury.
Okay.
And as of right now, it's only a 5-day event. And because of that, we already have another movie scheduled to take over for it on Tuesday. It's only going to be there for very much a limited time, 5 days only. And even if it expands, we're not going to be able to hold it, unfortunately. So if you're a fan of the Chosen series, this would be your perfect opportunity to get it. We're thrilled that we have it. Get your tickets now. They're available online. I know tickets are selling very quickly. A lot of churches, as soon as they find out it's available, they start buying tickets as quick as they can.
Those Fathom events, a lot of the times there's some extra content to it too. Like this may be like an interview with
Yes.
show creators, or is there
Well,
anything
I
like
know that this
attached to
one's
it?
it's 3 hours long. I don't remember. We just received the digital download
Mhm.
information last night. So quite honestly, I haven't had a chance to look at it
Okay.
yet. That's a part of my afternoon today.
All right.
So I'm not certain.
Yeah. Well, I thought that we're kind of starting to come down on time a little bit. I thought we just mentioned a few of like the bigger like blockbuster kind
Okay.
of things that are coming up.
Let
soon. Okay, you
let
got
me tell
one
them the
more? Okay.
one more.
Okay, one more.
Okay. The one more is Titanic.
Titanic.
So you mentioned it, and so
wherever you are.
so Titanic
Oh.
is that was good. Little voice
That
crack.
was a little pitchy, yeah. Oh,
Let's get Pete to come in and sing
Oh.
it for us.
better than I would.
So,
Oof.
Titanic 25-year anniversary, you mentioned the fact that it is coming to theaters.
In
It is only
3D.
available in 3D. Well, for us, the only 3D theater we have is Tri-City.
Yeah.
So, actually, Titanic will be at Tri-City for 1 week. I'm trying to remember the date for sure. And I don't know that I have the tickets up for sale quite yet, but it is coming very soon. Not this week, it's the following week. So if this week's is the 3rd, I believe that it will start on February 10th, and it will be in place from February 10th until February 8th, probably. It's only playing in 3D. There it is. Perfect. Thank you for bringing that up. So it is, remember, this is James Cameron, who did Avatar, of course, and 3D, of course, is one of his big things. So the only reason we were able to get it is because we do have a 3D theater. All the showtimes will be in 3D for that. And again, it's very, very limited release, very limited showtimes. As of right now, it's only there for a week. It might expand, but I doubt it. So if you're a huge fan of that, I also look at it as it's coming at Valentine's Day. So this could be a perfect opportunity. I was talking to one of our sales guys, Joel, and Joel told me, you bad boy. He told me the last time he was at Tri-City was to see Titanic the first time. Like, Joel, you can't tell me that. You need to go. You need to get there tomorrow.
So I remember when they re-released Titanic. Yeah, so like Jeremiah said, they re-released Titanic in 3D like probably been 10 years ago now.
Okay, could be.
But I remember seeing it in 3D then. But here I'm just going to throw this stat at you. So Titanic was the highest grossing movie of all time for a long time. It's since been passed by 2 movies. Either of you guys, the 2 movies that passed Titanic? And can you give me a wild guess for like what Titanic has made? And this includes when it was re-released before. Dylan?
I have no idea. I'm just guessing that it's probably been surpassed by a movie I know.
Okay.
Infinity Wars. I was guessing Infinity Wars.
No, actually.
I think I know. Is Avatar one of them?
Yeah, Avatar. The first Avatar is one of them.
And I think the other one is actually Spider-Man No Way Home.
It's Avengers Endgame.
Oh, it's Endgame. All right. It's
close.
Endgame.
And so Titanic,
I knew it was one of those.
Yeah, so Titanic currently sits at the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time, at just a hair under $2.2 billion.
$2.2 billion.
Yeah.
Here's what's amazing. I'm going to look at this. I believe that projections right now are for between 18 and 38 million for this re-release.
And here's kind of a funny thing.
Again, they're trying to see if they can't bring it back up.
So the highest grossing movie of all time is Avatar. It was surpassed by Avengers, but then James Cameron put Avatar back in theaters.
Yes.
One, to remind people that it was a thing. But the 4th highest grossing movie of all time, I'm a little surprised, is the Avatar 2.
Yes.
So it is,
but it's not done.
It's not done yet, but it's creeping up on Titanic. So now it's like James Cameron's just like, I need more. I'm not rich enough. I must have all these movies in theaters at the same time.
So All right. So again, we talked about Titanic that took 5 minutes, and I know you wanted to talk about some of the other ones
Well, I
that
just
are
thought we
coming. The
would
big
just
ones.
mention them real quick. A couple of big movies that are coming out.
Ant-Man
Ant-Man
and Wasp.
and the Wasp, Quantum Mania.
Mhm.
This is the third Ant-Man movie. But of course, if you didn't watch the Loki TV series, you would maybe not know what's going on in this movie because Marvel's all tied
Right.
up like that. Creed 3. This
Yes.
is, of course, in the Rockyverse.
I don't think I've heard anybody call it the Rocky verse before.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And so this one is directed by Michael B. Jordan. It's his first directorial debut. There's another Scream movie. I thought they just came out with Scream, but apparently we've got another one coming.
This is Scream.
This would be 6.
Yes, that's correct.
And then here's a movie called 65. I think Dylan's got a picture of this one.
Yes,
And I don't know anything about this.
I
but
don't either.
It looks like it's Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs, and I'm here for that.
I knew that I had somebody ask me about 65, and I said it's just a little bit further away, and I haven't really looked into
Mhm.
that one yet.
Yeah.
Is that March?
Yeah, it says
I've-
March on the poster.
I have a
but
feeling that it will probably be.
it says
If we do have it,
3/17.
if we do have it, it will be at Danbury. It's most likely not going to be at Tri-City.
Then we have Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Yes, Shazam.
So the first Shazam came out a few years ago. Very fun movie. And then they did Black Adam with The Rock, who Black Adam is sort of like Shazam's arch enemy in the comics. And that movie is really, really bad. so hopefully this one rights that ship a little bit. I guess there's another John Wick movie, John Wick Chapter 4.
There is another John Wick.
I've not
movie.
watched any of the John Wick movies. I don't really like Keanu Reeves very much, but
I don't think I've watched
just
much of him
keep-
since it was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I saw the new Bill and Ted. It was better than I thought it would be. Another movie that I think is going to be better than it should be, the Super Mario movie looks pretty great.
Oh yeah, no, that one looks like it's going to be wonderful
It
too.
looks pretty great. Video games have the reputation of being bad movie adaptations, but that one looks pretty great. Dylan showed me this poster earlier, and I thought it was really funny. Fast X.
Yes.
So, do you still have that, Dylan? So they made the logo look like a car headlight.
So, and the Fast and Furious series obviously has been just such a huge series. Speaking of huge series, that won a movie that I do not believe we're going to have anywhere, and I just hate to break the bad news to everybody, Magic Mike's Last Dance. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like any of our theaters are going to get Magic Mike's Last Dance. And it's not because we haven't asked for it. It's because they're just not going wide enough for that to happen, which is very, very surprising because the last couple Magic Mike movies have done very well for all of us.
Maybe they just the studio doesn't have much faith in it. Maybe.
The rumor was that they were originally supposed to release it to HBO Max at first, and then they decided to go ahead and expand it into theaters. I think that they just made a decision not to expand quite as far.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of the Magic Mike franchise, unfortunately, it doesn't look like any of the theaters will have that. We're still pushing for Danbury, but what we're finding out is our booking agent, who deals with something like 63 theaters, he wasn't able to get it for any of his theaters.
So all right. So the Magic Mike's Last Dance. You want to guess what the tagline for the movie is?
Any guess that I have is going to be pretty vulgar. So no, let's just hear what the tagline is.
The final tease.
The final tease.
So we've also got The Little Mermaid coming up, another Transformers movie, and here's one I'm excited for: 80-year-old Harrison Ford.
Yes,
donning the fedora and the whip one last time. Now, see, there he is being a young and hunky Harrison, but I'm here for the 80-year-old.
Yes. Yeah. So again, this looks like a really good year. I think we've talked about that before, about how even last year's stuff, probably only about 2/3 of the number of movies released last year that there were pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. It looks like we're going to get a lot more, a lot better movies. So it's been fantastic because there's a little bit of something for everyone. I would also tell you that movie turnaround times are going to get quicker. So you will see a movie that's at Tri-City. It may only be there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks max, and then it gets swapped out with another movie. So don't think of it as like being your Top Gun, that if you hadn't seen it, don't worry, it's going to be there for 20 weeks. I would tell you to think about going to see a movie within its first 2 weeks of being out. Insider secret, that Thursday early release, if you can come to see a movie on the Thursday early release, it's usually a nice size crowd, but it's not nearly as busy as a Friday or a Saturday. I always encourage people, if you want to see a movie, go to the Thursday release. It's the perfect time to go. Yeah. So if you're someone who can get away on Thursday night, that's the time.
Yeah. And so I promised up at the top of the show I was going to bring it back around to buttholes.
Okay.
So in order to watch the Ohio State game the other night, I had to sign up for Paramount Plus. So I wanted to get my 5-day free trial of Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Money's worth for the free trial. And last night I watched Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Okay.
And I've said this before, it just doesn't miss a beat. Like, it is as funny as it's
I'm
ever
sure
been.
it's comedic genius. I'm sure of it.
It is legitimately hilarious. So if you're just want the dumbest thing available,
and
cannot recommend Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe enough.
And that's what's nice is that I think every once in a while it is nice to watch something completely mindless.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just something that's funny for the sake of funny. This is two days in a row now that we've not talked about Clerks.
It's true.
I don't know that Clerks is something that our audience probably knows a lot about. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong. I can tell you that if the last time you watched the original Clerks was 1990, whatever it was,
96,
it's a different movie than you remember it being. Especially as we get a little bit older, I do not encourage you to watch it with
94.
your children. There's a lot of stuff that I had just forgot about. Clerks 2 is better than Clerks 1, and Clerks 3 does bring it all back together. Clerks 3, I think, would make absolutely zero sense if you hadn't seen Clerks 1 or 2.
Yeah, or honestly listen to Kevin Smith's podcast.
Yes. So, again, it's not something... I would not recommend the Clerks movies, but if you already listen to Kevin Smith and you already know that, this is what the part of this that I was going to talk about. Kevin Smith, I just read an article about him.
Mm-hmm.
He is trying to basically do movies the old way, and that's how he's making money.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about selling DVDs for him.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that there are people out there who are still going to own the content, and that's how he's making his money versus allowing the studios to make the money.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Smith kind of got burnt in the Harvey Weinstein thing a little bit, and I think he's pretty, and other things throughout his career too. But he's pretty anti-big. Studios.
He's not anti-movie theater. He's not anti-movie. He's anti-studio.
So here, I'm going to throw this at you. You probably don't know this because this is recent. You were a little frustrated that Clerks 3 didn't get a regular theatrical run originally. You're like, oh, Kevin Smith doesn't understand movie theater. Kevin Smith just bought the movie theater in his hometown in New Jersey.
So he's actually, again, he's like taking a step back to move a step ahead. Mm-hmm. He really is. It's something that I do foresee happening. So what he did, again, brilliant idea. He basically, he pulled an Elvis and he sent his movie on tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Elvis sent his gold-plated Cadillac on tour. Mm-hmm. The Beatles said that
he tours a movie the way a band would tour an album.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the same exact concept. But so Kevin Smith he does the movie industry his way, and he's successful at it. It's probably not a bad thing that Clerks 3, we did have it at Danbury. Mm-hmm. It was a flop.
Yeah. Well, it had
But
already been.
it had already been
It had
out.
already been out all
So
summer.
people who wanted to see it are already gonna go see it.
Yeah.
But we learned that very quickly that it was a flop for us. It was a huge. It's a good movie, and it was a successful movie for Kevin Smith. It was a giant disaster for Chillicothe Cinemas Inc. So,
all right. Well, Josh,
all
thanks
right.
for stopping by
Hey.
today. It's always fun going over this stuff. Heard about some things that I hadn't heard of before. We got to talk about Waylon Jennings buying a cocaine bear
Cocaine
for the
Bear.
Kentucky Fun Mall.
We got to talk about buttholes today,
Yep.
clerks. So a little bit of everything. So anyway,
yep.
you know
Well-
that anytime I'm glad to come back. I'll be hanging out on the radio in the mornings and just come in, pull me in like we did the other day. I heard that we're getting good reactions from Dylan's reaction video. How many hits does that have now? Do you know?
I think on Facebook it's got like 2,000.
Wow.
Just us sitting around and not knowing how to react. So
That's true.
there would be much better reaction video from all the giggling that we were doing today.
Yep.
So
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back again tomorrow, and Jennifer will thankfully be back on
good
Thursday.
God. Oh, good God.
So
All right.
see you guys tomorrow.
Hi, Mom.